and we'll do this just so you know, we have no time constraint. I mean, we can stay later. Yeah, so I mean, we're in no hurry. We'll stay here until everybody wants to. You know, just before we get to that, to keep the numbers right, and I understand the frustration here, right? You wouldn't be here unless you're frustrated. And there are some bad apples, and there are some rude people. I've been involved in law enforcement a long time. There's people that I met where I thought, what a knothead, right? I mean, they're unprofessional. And if you've been in the medical field for this long, you know there are doctors and nurses who don't belong in that field, right? And there's everywhere across the board, right? They're knotheads, they don't belong, they're in it for profit, they're not in it to take care of people. Same with deputies. If you're not a humanitarian, you're in the wrong line of work. Like I used to ask people all the time, what kind of business is law enforcement in? You know, are they in the warehouse business, the entertainment business? What kind of business are we in? We're in the problem-solving business. If you don't like solving problems and working with problems, and when people are having problems, you're in the wrong line of work. And so you have to have the right disposition. But just numbers, you talked about California is the place where there's the most police officer-involved shootings and killings of another human being, 135. Texas is the next closest state, 108. Do you know who gets shot and killed the most by police?
Black.
No, Caucasians, 375.
Actually, can I
Washington Post.
overrepresented because the population of black people is 13% in the country, while 75% are Caucasian. So it's grossly overrepresented.
Yeah, you're working by percentages, not by raw numbers.
I know. But the bottom line is, I'm not here saying everybody gets killed equally. Aren't we happy, right? I'm just saying it's a long work. I worked in South Central. I don't know what advice you give your kids, but if they're wearing a red bandana on 60th Street, they may or may not get back to the end of that street if they go down to the jungle. If you guys know where the jungle is, Dickerson Gardens, everything else, you got to behave differently too. Oh, exactly. I'm saying there's problems everywhere, right? It's not unique to the law enforcement. It's unique everywhere. I've been to Hawaii where I don't feel comfortable if you go on the main island in different places because you're not a local Hawaiian. And so, I mean, there's issues everywhere.
Let me ask you something. Of all the people that you say you've investigated as ICBM or whatever,
Yeah, ICID, right. Go ahead.
how many of those people have you convicted? How many were there that you investigated, and how many of those were convicted?
Yeah, I would say, well, it's very complex in the sense that, you know, you get a lot of people filing complaints just to, you know, try to counter the balance. But probably, I'd say 10% of the cases that we handled resulted in prosecutions, and probably another 10% on top of that, terminations and firing. ICIB doesn't fire deputies, they turn it over to internal affairs. It's just a criminal thing. But, you know, it's not just the sheriff's department. There is a unit within the district attorney's office that they work hand in hand with, special investigations.
How much funding do you guys put in ICIB compared to the weaponization of the sheriff's department?
That I don't have those numbers offhand, but
You know where
I
I
mean,
could find
it
those
depends on how you
numbers?
define weaponization, right? Every deputy sheriff is weapon. It's got
Money
Money
spent
you
for
put into
riot gear that could be used for PPE during a pandemic.
Tear
Our
gas.
protest, we gave you guys a heads up for our peaceful protest. I met with you.
Yeah.
I called the sheriff's department. We let them know that it was peaceful.
Yeah, it was.
And my friend Wasim, one of the sheriffs or National Guard, raised a gun to him and had the gun aimed at his head as he walked through the crowd saying, "Hands up, don't shoot." You guys had a gun to his head. Do you realize how traumatizing that is?
Well, I'm not part of the National Guard. I don't know that, but I can say this: we were never concerned. We appreciate
It
the
was
fact that you
CHP.
gave us a heads up. A lot of times, it's the unknown agitators. In fact, like I've said, here in Cerritos, we've had many events. Not one single window has been broken in the city. This is a very peaceful, great, a city where people dialogue and express concerns. I don't know what the National Guard did.
That's why
So
we
if
want
there
to be
hasn't-
safe. We
Yeah.
want to be safe in our own city because we love this city.
Yes.
We live here. We've been living here for a long time, and we want to be safe too.
Right.
If there hasn't been one window broken, why was our peaceful protest met with officers and riot gear? If there hasn't been one window broken, why would you
Was
assume that
anybody
the
here-
protest organized
Uh-huh.
by majority African American youth would be the protest that would... I went to a protest before that, and it was organized by two girls who were not black. And the officers were standing with us. They were passing out water bottles. At our protest, which was led by a group that's majority African American, the officers stood on the side in the back of the parking lot, didn't come up to us. They weren't passing out water bottles. Why? Because they already got those propaganda pictures of them passing out water bottles getting published in the LA Times. But there were no videos, no reportings of a black boy having an officer whose job is to protect and serve have a gun aimed at his head, following him through the crowd as he's chanting, "Hands up, don't shoot." He had his hands up. And the officer,
It was
this is
on
on
Little
South
India
Street.
Pioneer and Artesia. What's it called? At that point, you guys had set up a barricade of police officers with riot gear, tear gas, launchers, all that stuff. Why do you need that?
Well, because a couple nights earlier, people tried to break into Bindi Jewelry Store and Amber Jewelry Store.
And you
the place
perceive
was
that
looted.
the
It
young
was
black
the black
youth.
community that was
Yeah,
doing that.
because
No, they
the
actually
looting,
did, though.
the looting and all that stuff that you guys say is looting, which isn't a part of the Black Lives Matter at all, which I don't know how you guys don't understand that by now. The looting happened before those two other non-black girls made that protest. So the fact that you're just deciding to do that for the black protest is real weird, right? You don't see that correlation.
We don't control what people do, obviously.
But you're
And
officers.
certainly, no. What I'm saying is that we as human beings don't control what other people do. So when you organize a protest, and for instance, like there's one in Long Beach, right? So a bunch of college students came up and spoke with the Lakewood commander that, hey, it's going to be a peaceful protest, but it was. And then people went, and they went back in their way. Majority of them have left. A group of individuals decided on their own to take on the sheriff department at that corner on Park Avenue. They necessitated the officer using the equipment that they had available to them. Now, if they would not do it, what happened then is it's going to be causing some issue with the local business. Obviously, they got looted a week before, and that's why they brought in the National Guard. You didn't see National Guard, I'm sorry to say this, but we don't have any National Guard standing on ground in the city of Cerritos. They may stay in the Lakewood City area, patrol area, but not in the city of Cerritos, because I had asked the under sheriff, hey, you know what? So far we are good, just send a regular patrol guy. They have to be ready, remind you, to respond at any given moment to another location within the county dealing with looting and all the riots. That's why they have to be in those gear. If they're not ready, by the time they don't on those equipment, and by the time they jump in the car and roll, it's already too late. They have to be ready at all times. That's why you see them in those outfit, I call it the safety. The helmet is protect them from rocket bottles, obviously. The bulletproof, because we have people throwing a incendiary device and also shooting, what they call it, fireworks at them. And those M80s, believe it or not, if you're nearby, you're the doctor, you should know that when it explodes, just like a small little grenade. And for them to be able to protect themselves, they have to have those things on. Like I said, it takes a long time for them to equip themselves to get ready. And if they're not ready at the given moment to roll out of the city to another part of the county, we are in trouble. And that's why it's called a new mobile field force. And that's what they are. They're
Now you
mobile
guys
field
are in
force.
trouble.